Something is seriously wrong with the crypto market, and now it looks like it's on life support because yesterday the bottom literally fell out from under the entire market. And right in front of me, I have the chart on XRP. It dumped from $3.39 all the way down to a low of $1.75. This was brutal, a bloodbath. It dumped 48% off its all-time high. Now, exactly how bad was it? Well, as you can see here, I have a liquidation map from CoinGlass where over the last 24 hours, we saw $2.32 billion liquidated and over 747,000 or 750,000 people that lost all of their money on these futures exchanges and accounts. This was actually the largest liquidation event in crypto history. We're talking this was worse than Terra Luna, the $60 billion market crash in that token and its dollar peg stablecoin UST, and even FTX, which hit $1.6 billion in liquidations. What's even crazier is that apparently this isn't the end of it. Data is being suppressed. Still, this is why you don't mess with leverage, folks, especially in a bit of a shaky market. And what just happened yesterday proves the point that crypto in all of its glory and technological advancements and sitting at over a $3 trillion market cap can still be moved to a loss of 25% plus on a few billion dollars. But many people took to X and the rumor mill began turning. As you can see here, Marty Party said exchanges are using market makers to manipulate prices. And then he even shows blockchain transactions surrounding Binance and even Coinbase using those market makers to dump assets on their exchanges, liquidate longs, which makes them richer, probably because they're on the short side, and then want to buy and hold your spot assets once they dump to levels they're happy with. They win on both the short and the long using market makers to manipulate. But is this all 100% true? What's really going on? And then it's impossible, right, to look at charts like this where you see XRP, Bitcoin, and even HBAR, where they look exactly the same in terms of when they bottom, when you have those massive market makers move in with billions of dollars, buy the local lows, and the markets start to recover for a V-shaped bounce across the board. Many people believe this is truly institutional manipulation, and how couldn't you think so? Who else could move markets like this but institutions with stupid amounts of money? How else could you get an entire crypto market worth $3.66 trillion to dump 24% or lose $855 billion worth of its market cap value in a single few day time frame? So what exactly happened yesterday? Well, in this video, I'll be covering a few posts from real market makers like Wintermute and how they actually operate, because they are going to reveal all. In other words, was this truly nefarious? Were players like BlackRock behind this move? Or is this all happening because of Trump's tariffs on Canada and Mexico being 25% and China at 10%? And already Mexico and Canada are now getting another month. But is this just the beginning of a larger dump on global trade wars and a combination of that really negative market sentiment surrounding AI, the DeepSeek news, and how virtually every company integrating AI is overvalued? Heck, others even think this is a part of Trump's plan to strengthen the dollar against other currencies like the Canadian dollar, because then he will get the dollar to pump and to lock in foreign trade deals at a higher US dollar value. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is one of the most difficult market environments and bull runs I've ever seen in crypto. As you can see here, this chart featuring the green and red candlesticks is the price of every other crypto token since the local highs back here in March of 2024 relative to the Bitcoin and top 10 cryptos by market cap in this total green line. And as you can see here, it would have been a safer play to invest in the top 10, being that you'd be up 30% over this period of time while holding virtually every other other altcoin that isn't in the top 10 would put you down 40% from March of 2024, almost a year ago now. That is a 70% difference. Picking altcoins has not worked. So folks, if you're wondering how to approach a market like this, then stick around till the end of the video because I'll be covering it all. And I understand after yesterday's bloodbath, it might be hard to feel bullish, but if you're still feeling blessed, comment 777. And if you're going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Hello and welcome back to the channel, Bull Runners. If you're new here, my name is Paul and you can find me on Twitter or X at PauliDeFi, PAULIE DEFI. And as markets were looking a little bit weaker and failing to rally for new highs, you had many folks all over X posting about market makers, market manipulation, bigger exchanges ready to dump on the market, to liquidate positions, and then buy back in lower. And I understand that is a fair point to make, considering players like BlackRock ultimately want to hold more Bitcoin, because even if they hold it for their many clients and it's their asset, they still have power and can make many calls and ultimately sell on behalf of their customers as well. The majority of people who hold money with a fund manager or in a retirement account do so because they don't want to think about markets. They want smart players like BlackRock and Larry Fink making all of the decisions for them. So that is power, especially if they hold the majority of Bitcoin, considering Bitcoin really does move the market. And that becomes more and more obvious as you've been around longer. Not does only crypto move with the traditional financial market like indexes and stocks, but the entire crypto market is highly correlated with how Bitcoin moves. That means there are bots and buy and sell buttons that if someone is managing a boatload of money and they have a ton of crypto positions, they click a sell button and it sells on everything. Other times it's completely automated when it is triggered by certain events and prices. And that's why you get things where the entire crypto market dumps. And in similar fashion, it's all bought up at the exact same time. So you'll get these V-shaped recoveries on virtually all major cryptos. And I would argue to a degree that is manipulation, but it's also just how institutions play the game now. In other words, whether there is manipulation or not, it doesn't matter. There are always ways to lose money. As many people say, there are two sides of the market. There's the bear side and the bull side. But as Jesse Livermore once put it, he said there is only one side to the market, and that is the right side. So you might as well learn how to look at a chart, track a trend, and then be on the right side more often than you're wrong. Or better yet, even if you aren't, be wrong small and right big over and over throughout your career as a crypto investor, and eventually you'll make it. But I can see why there are a lot of excuses to fail, considering many people probably are watching this video right now couldn't handle seeing their portfolio dump yesterday and actually ended up selling. However, you likely wouldn't have sold if you were involved in our Altcoin Pro University. You can find the link in the description below to join one of our 1,200 plus members who get access to all sorts of live signals, market updates, live conference calls with pros, altcoin picks from pros that 10x, 20x, and sometimes even 50 plus X. Or in this case, 22 hours ago when markets actually bottomed, I made a post talking about an emergency alert and how I've seen this type of stuff before. However, I've always made money buying panic like this. I will be holding my crypto positions and I would be adding to the major market cap cryptos just in case there is more risk. Still, you can see that my entries on Bitcoin were $93,000. Go ahead and check the timestamp. Here we had XRP at $2. Guess what it's sitting at right now? It's currently at $2.72. And when we were buying, or I gave that signal, you would have already been up 36% on that XRP position by being involved in our university. Ethereum, 2,400, and even Solana at $187. I'm up on every single one of these positions as I added to it. And anyone that took this play would be up as well. You're only going to get access to something like this inside of Altcoin Pro University, because this is stuff that I simply do not share on the channel, as this is mostly a news channel. Now, that said, there are probably plenty more gains to be had through the rest of this market. However, each and every single day and month you wait, you could potentially miss out on gains like this. Now, think about it. If you made 36% on your portfolio or on any amount you invested, not only would you have paid for the membership for the month, but you likely would have paid for it for the entire year in a single play. And that doesn't include all of the updates and plays that we share inside of this backend, or any of the classes that we offer, DeFi yields, airdrop alerts, and more. So head on over to bullrunners.com. You can find the link in the description below, and let's dive back into the video. So the reason that markets dumped is not only because they were looking a little bit weak. We had a boatload of leverage in the system. There were potentially some major market makers that were in the move to short and buy lower. I could totally see that because maybe they know what's coming, but ultimately markets were also spooked under the Trump tariff deal, where he was going to slap 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, and was very serious about it until they both decided to play ball. In other words, Trump truly is a pro in the art of the deal. He threatened tariffs, had all of the paperwork together. They're like, we're actually screwed as economies without the US, or by paying that much of a tax. And so now Canada has agreed to put 10,000 frontline personnel on the border and even create a fentanyl SAR. And Mexico agreed to do the same, to immediately use their own taxpayer dollars to secure the border. And guess what Trump did? He then said, okay, now you have another 30 days until you get done what I'm asking you to get done. This is brilliant and beautiful. And although it hurts in the short term, I do believe it's going to be positive in the long term. Trump is using tariffs as a bargaining chip. And ultimately, other countries have far more, or stand to lose far more than the United States with us than we do with them, because we truly can be, and already are in many ways, energy independent. We could be food independent. We could be manufacturing independent. And so prices might rise slightly, but over the long run, taxes would come down because a lot of that income would come from other countries. Other countries have got rich off of us and our consumers for far too long. I think it's time we start playing hardball. And by the way, if you are in another country, watch what Trump does over the next year or two and see just how much more powerful the United States becomes economically. And that's not including crypto and how we're going to bring innovation back into the United States under his administration. Then go and vote for those types of people in your own country. Now, here's what's crazy about what happened yesterday, and this is what leads me to believe that this was the last major flush before we start to get a new run up in the bull market. We might have a little bit of a lag here at these prices, maybe even a little bit of a dump on something like XRP down to $2.30, $2.40 before putting in any lower high or higher low, and then the market continues to trend to the upside. However, you have someone like Ben Zhu, who is the co-founder and CEO of Bybit, which is a major crypto exchange, who straight up said that the total real liquidation is more than $2 billion. And he estimates it was closer to $8 to $10 billion. Now, this is someone on the inside. And the reason he can confirm this is because the Bybit 24-hour liquidation alone on his exchange was $2.1 billion. That's not including every other major exchange, even like Binance. So how are we getting 2 billion or 2.3 billion versus 8 to 10? Well, as you can see here, the 24-hour liquidations recorded on CoinGlass, the thing that we all use to look at liquidations, was around $333 million. And that's because they have an API limitation on the amount of data that their feeds can push out per second. In other words, virtually all exchanges look like this, and it's likely that there were far more liquidations than $2.3 billion. billion. And so here's where it's so important to double confirm the information that you're getting and take everything with a grain of salt, including this video, because at the end of the day, information can evolve and change with new players, different opinions, and experts entering the fold. That said, even Cointelegraph shared this information. And you might say, well, they're credible. They always print the news. And so this looks very real. However, then you get this information from an insider and you say, uh-oh, I think it was bigger. So then what actually caused the dump yesterday? Well, I do believe it was a bit of that tariff news. I do believe people are still worried about AI, even though the fact that you had a company like DeepSeek lie about some numbers, it still cost them about $1 billion likely to integrate, or I should say deploy, their AI model. And so that does mean the majority of US-based AI companies are extremely overvalued. And then combine that with any potential market manipulation from market makers, where you have someone like wishfulcynic.eth, who is the founder and CEO of one of the more known market makers in crypto called Wintermute. Now, in this post on his X account, which by the way, I love X, it is easily the best place to get access to live information from the people behind the scenes, he states that Wintermute, like any other prop trading firm, is in the business of making money by trading. Wouldn't you guess? In other words, if the market is dumping and then you see the bottom fall out from under it, this doesn't mean that they have some magical power to tell every other company or every other market maker or every other exchange, hey, we are all going to do this all at once, because then there is no one to trade against. If they're all on the same side, who's going to buy from them if they're selling? And on the flip side, who's going to sell if they are buying? The only time we get crashes like this is because there virtually is no demand. And so when they sell and there's no bids right down here, the thing just collapses. And then you hit a point or a price on virtually all markets where we get a series of cascading liquidations. It's kind of like you're taking the elevator all the way down and then the cable snaps. And so if you're in business as a market maker and your goal is to make money, and you see that it's very likely the cable is looking very thin and it's holding on by a thin thread, wouldn't you want to short the crap out of it too and make a boatload of money and buy back in a lot cheaper on some of the assets that you have high conviction in over a longer period of time? You can argue that this is truly manipulation, but this is just one of many ways market makers make money. Is it manipulation, or do we just need to get better at recognizing what's happening in the market? And so in this article that he posts, which you can go ahead and look him up because he's on the screen, he basically states the reason that markets do this is not because there's always some nefarious player, it's basic supply and demand. And I actually have found that to be true as well in my 9 years in crypto markets. It might come as a shock, he says, but prices go up when there are more buyers than sellers, and they go down when the reverse is true. Why? Because if there is less of something and it is scarce and there are more people that want it, they're going to be willing to sell it for more and more and more until both parties are happy. That's how orders and bids are made. And so he explains, and bear with me here if you don't understand it, but this is crucial. He is giving you one of the keys to what makes crypto markets operate. He says that the worst part is this: the more liquid your token is, or basically the more actual liquidity or money there is in that market to withdraw from it completely, the easier it is to sell, which makes sense. If there's very low liquidity, but it has a very high looking market cap, well then let's say I'm worth $1 million in a market that only has 500K of liquidity. Well, guess what? I couldn't just sell my $1 million into that market because there's only 500K. I would collapse that market and I would experience a lot of slippage. So it's just paper money. It's not real. And so when Binance or another exchange lists your token, and then Wintermute or another market maker starts showing bids and offers in size, it becomes easier for anyone to sell and rotate to something new and shiny, which means the people that already made money in something can now sell sell to market makers like Binance or Wintermute. This is literally the meta for a while. And if you haven't figured it out by now, instead of blaming exchanges or market makers, you should blame your own trading skill issue. And I love what he says. It really comes down to this. If you are losing money and blaming market makers, it is a skill issue. You simply do not understand markets well enough, or you're not managing your risk well enough. So this is a challenge for anyone watching this video. Instead of blaming and pointing manipulation, fraud, work to be on the right side of the market, wherever that may lead you. Don't swim against the current or the river, swim with it. And so that's it, folks, for the video. If you learned something new, be sure to smash the subscribe button and then head on over to bullrunners.com if you want more in-depth and live analysis just like this. But there is far more value on the other side because I can't simply get to it all in one video. But as things stand, I am still longer term. I still do believe we're in a bull market. And so yesterday could have been the major low or the local dip before we start to rally for new all-time highs, which means I am still holding my major investment portfolio. I added to my bags yesterday. And if I was in a long position that is on any amount of leverage or margin, that's when I actually exit on a move like this. In other words, I took a very small portion of my total portfolio. I went long the market on leverage, which is very dangerous generally. But now that I'm up quite a bit on it, 36% on XRP, and on leverage even more so, I am now exiting that position. That does not mean I am actually selling my investment portfolio that I want to hold over the next bull run or year. And this is all stuff that you would learn on the other side if you jumped into bullrunners.com. Watch this short video that explains everything you get on the other side. Join, and I can't guarantee you're going to make more than what you pay for it, but it would be highly unlikely if you applied all the tools, training, and resources you get on the other side. So thanks so much for watching the video. I'll see you in the next video, my friend. Goodbye.